I am your main man, Underwood. Now, I've talked about a lot of things recently, but something I haven't talked about are terrible game masters. Tonight, I will be talking about terrible game masters. Why? Because M is why. The type of terrible game master I'll be talking about tonight is none other than the Slaughterhouse GM. One of my subscribers mentioned this in a video response, a video comment, rather, recently. Talking about, I played with this guy, killed a character off every single night. I've seen game masters like this, and I haven't played in a game with a game master like this in 2 decades. About 2 decades. So, or now very close to. Very close to. That being said, you do not want to get in a game with a game master like this. He never has the capacity to be anything other than terrible. He can't get to be poor. He definitely can't get to be like moderate with like a minus sign. All that is vastly beyond his reach. Terrible Slaughterhouse game masters are terrible because their game is unable to have a plot, is unable to tell a story. It is a game that is unable to tell a story. Quick litmus test, always remember, would you read this if it was a book? Would you watch it if it was a movie or a show? And in their game, no. You wouldn't. Absolutely you wouldn't. You couldn't. You couldn't follow it. It's so convoluted and discombobulated, it would be impossible for anyone to follow. So, here's 6 more new characters, and here's another 3 the next day, and here, how do you possibly understand? And you wouldn't be able to invest, because the players themselves are no longer investing in their character. If you are your man, Little Allen, and roll deep, 4 characters deep in one game session, getting smacked around just the way they always ought to. That guy, why is he going to put any thought into his characters? And it leads to all sorts of problems. You hear about the bully sort of game master is leaning on players, just killing them all, is antagonistic towards them. What does a player do? Oh, it starts building defenses. I'm going to power game. I'm going to min-max. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use all this little dirty bag of tricks. And slowly, he becomes aggressive. He thinks of the relationship between game master and player as adversarial. It is not adversarial. It's the furthest thing from adversarial. It must exist in a cohesive fashion so that you could tell a story, so that you can advance, so that you can make this beautiful, interesting, creative space. There is none of that in a game master's game that is Slaughterhouse. But what they have are traps, and lots of them, books of traps. They have skags of them, adventures and mods. They have modules sitting on the table that they are not running, just so they can fucking use the trap sections out of them. If you see some bullshit like this, just keep on walking. Maybe give them a quick one right to the nugget while you're going by. And why not? This sort of game, if you are this game master, if I get one of you watching this video, after you hit dislike and make your yelling comment about how you are having fun and have a right to have fun, or the nonsense people gibber off, remember this. Just because some people have so little to do, they're actually still showing up, doesn't mean they like or enjoy your game. It just is a bad reflection on either your gaming state or their playing capabilities, and probably because I played with game masters over and over like you, and anyone that's actually able to run a game is like, ooh, and away with all you, back to the refuse heap, and Porta Johns with your party. Now, let's think about why is it bad to slaughter the whole party off. One other thing I've noticed about this group is they often will have their one cherished player, and they'll just treat them like gold, whether it's their girlfriend, their wife, or it's, their one buddy, whoever it is. They got the one guy they just try to keep, so they can have the vaguest, bestial ridiculousness of the story. That one character recount from the beginning to the end. Yeah, this would happen in the time when I spent with 298 different characters. Yes, we traveled from this town to that town through a horribly trap-infested area. Then you have monsters. There's no monsters in these games, just traps. Traps and traps, and maybe acid-born sharks and digesters. But I think other monsters will be like, ooh, I'll be using your game, use some traps. And he will. He'll use the hell out of those traps. Skags and stacks and, a hoarder's amount of modules sitting there for just that right trap. Because you definitely need to invest your mental energy in making sure you have traps to kill the players in the most unrewarding, unadvancing, uninteresting, and unmemorable fashions possible. Because really what we want to be doing is spending all night searching every 5-foot square, regardless of if it's in the wilderness or in someone's home. It doesn't matter because traps are everywhere. The terrible game master will definitely inculcate you into feeling that fashion of thought. Believe that with your mind, ruminated upon it for some time. So, what I'm saying, though, in all seriousness, I'm having a good time with it. In fact, I had just a couple times for some of my videos. I've probably been having a little bit too much of a good time. But think about this, man. If you're one of these people, I'm trying to talk directly to these people. If you're doing that, regardless of whatever you think, whatever like brain conditions you have going on, to insulate yourself from the fact that you were fucking miserably failing, look at your shit and litmus test it. Would you yourself actually enjoy playing in that? You know, this ridiculous situation. You know, these kind of game masters, and why I openly mock them and ridicule them is because they damage the hobby to a tremendous degree. You have people rolling up there when they're 10, 11, 12, 38, whatever the fuck they are, for the first time. They go, ooh, that's what a game is? Not for me. And rightfully so. I sure as hell, if I thought that's what role-playing games were, I'd up out of this piece in a minute. That's not for my time. I have valuable shit to do with my life, like make YouTube videos. And I tell you, that's a lot more rewarding than playing one of these games. So, in short summation, if you are killing your players off to the point you are actually unable to tell a story, they're unable to remember what their character's name is or don't bother to write them down, you're doing some really, really wrong shit. It's horrible. It's ruining it. Don't do it. Learn how to actually tell a story. Make it your mission not to kill any of them. If you brutally slaughtered players off, everyone knows you've slaughtered them. There's no need to kill them anymore. They are going to have all the fear they need in their mind for your game. That part is way more than substantial. Go way out of your way. You know, I mean, if one of them jumps off the roof to try to kill himself, I don't let him die, but go out of your way to make sure that you don't have anyone die an entire long campaign and see how shit actually begins to make sense. See how people begin to invest in their characters. How begin to remember what each other's characters' names are. How people get away ever so slightly from some of these bad devices that they've put together with power gaming and min-maxing and same-songing and cheating and so forth. You might have driven it into them too much. But maybe you'll see them just ease up a little bit. Now, from you, the hopefully large majority who aren't involved in that, who aren't going to be offended by me cracking on their trick asses, let's hear your stories. You know, have you seen this? How bad have you seen it? If you've played a game like this, what's the most characters that you have played in the same game because they keep getting killed? Let's talk about that. Let's hear your comments.